who actually did some of these things, but I think we all have some things to learn here. So on slide 2, our agenda is we're going to learn from the HIPAA settlement agreements for enforcement, and we're going to review the various agreements and fines that have been issued to date and identify what are the most prominently featured issues in enforcement. I think the things that they find over and over again are bound to be the sort of things that they would probably be getting pretty tired of seeing over and over again, and would hope people would start to get the message once they have a few enforcement actions. Of course, surviving some kind of enforcement action means that you have to have the documentation in place that shows how you've done all the right things to be in compliance, to show that you have implemented all those policies and procedures the way you should have. Okay, so we'll find out what we can learn from those settlement agreements. Of course, along the way, we'll be talking about various HIPAA privacy and security requirements, because it's when you have these violations of these requirements that you wind up with some kind of enforcement action and that leads to some kind of settlement. And so we'll discuss what those requirements are, and really part of what we're doing is looking to see what we can do to be prepared for enforcement and audit actions that might come our way down the road. All it takes is being selected through a random audit, or having somebody make some kind of a complaint or something like that can lead to HHS asking some questions and embarking on an enforcement action that involves you. So you'd like to avoid that. At the end, as was mentioned, we'll have some time for questions and answers, so please think of the things you want to ask more about as we go along. I tend to kind of make people's heads sore by the time we get to the end of these things with the amount of information that I provide. But still, there are always questions that are new to me. I love getting questions because they really force me to think something different, perhaps, than I have in the past sometimes. For all my years of having done this. On slide 3, just a little bit as a background, I am an engineer, not a lawyer, and I'm not providing legal advice here. And I bring an engineer's approach to civil engineering, transportation engineering. I bring an engineer's way of thinking to compliance. Engineers like to take something that's big and complicated and break it into smaller pieces that they understand, and understand those pieces pretty well, and put those pieces together and see how it all works. And when it comes to something big and complicated like HIPAA compliance, it helps to kind of break things down to other pieces, or find other analogs that can describe what's going on. So it's interesting to sort of bring that engineer's approach to compliance and think, well, how else can we look at this to be able to understand what's going on? And what else can we do to learn some things that will help us avoid problems, which is really what it's all about when it comes to compliance with these rules. Important thing on slide 3 is the lewiscreeksystems.com website. It's my own personal website where I have lots of resources posted there, news stories, the latest. These are not just every little news story, but the stuff that is important, the stuff you need to pay attention to. I'm not going to post every notice of every breach that comes along the wire, because whenever I do a training session, it's always, well, what's our breach of the day today? What organization has wound up in press in the health information newsletters today for having had some kind of a breach? So you don't need to look very far for those. But what I have is the real stuff you need to know. Like, here's some new guidance that's come out. Here's a new tool that could be useful for you. Things like that. Also, my own newsletters I make available out there on the website as well, so you can look for my occasional compliance newsletters that are out there that I have for my clients and for pretty much anybody else to read as well. It's all easy to access. There's no login required. You don't have to give me your email address or anything. You don't have to register. Nothing funny like that. Just information and resources. Please take advantage of it and check in on a regular basis, because I do try to keep it updated. Also with my schedule of speaking engagements and classes and things like that. So what are we talking about here? Let's enough about me. How are we going to deal with HIPAA compliance here? Okay, so on slide 4, here's the thing. There's a couple of different fundamental ways to approach compliance when it comes to HIPAA, and one is the way we started from the beginning, when we didn't have any experience. We were just kind of go, well, what do we do with that HIPAA? How do we be in compliance? Well, all we could look at was the regulations and say, okay, well, the regulations say this.